Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you're calling in from. Welcome to our webinar series kicking off early this year. We're going to cover how to use the buyers and media lists today as part of maybe your post-show follow-up plan. Today you'll have myself and, oops, we need a minute here. Today, Terry Reynolds and myself, Nancy Michael, are going to present this webinar, and you can contact us at any time if you have any questions. And if you have questions that come up during the webinar, feel free to use your chat function, and we will stop and address it so everybody can hear what the question is in case they have the same. So, you should have been receiving emails and notification about the buyer and media list when they went live. The link is listed there on your screen in housewares.org under show and then directory login.
But there's also another way to get to them if you would rather not copy this down. We'll just show you how to find it if you want to go straight in to find it. You go to the show site, and find exhibit, click on that, oh, excuse me, it'll bring you to this page. You go to the marketing kit, and then you download the buyers list, and you see the link there.
And of course, this is all through housewares.org.
Correct.
So you get to this link, and you'll see you need a company ID number and a seniority number. You can find that on the email that was sent to you on April 13th, or you can contact any sales manager or coordinator. We have Dawn listed there, and we can look up your company ID and your seniority number. Your seniority numbers have changed since last year, so your 2016 code is no longer valid. So if you don't have it, please feel free to give us a shout. Then once you enter into this, you will see the next selection on how to download the buyers list.
And as you can see by the screen in front of you, this is downloadable in Excel, and I think some of you have been around for a while. We used to do it in CSV. We find it works much better in Excel, and that was what the vast majority of exhibitors were taking. There are 3 lists to download: the U.S. buyers, the international attendees, and the 2016 media. We're going to talk about each one of those, how to use them, and as Nancy said earlier, hopefully it will help you in your follow-up for this year's show, and again in preparation for next year's. So when you download this happens to be a screenshot of the U.S. buyer list. When you download the list, it's going to be in Excel, and it's going to look as you see it on the screen. And it is much wider than this. But among the things that you'll be able to do with this list have to do with things that are to the right of the screen that you can see now. And they include retail, class of trade, job function, product of interest, virtually everything that a buyer told us as they registered for the show is available to you, with one exception, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But the list is there for you to sort, to create custom lists. There you can sort it, again, by any of these items. If you have regional salespeople or reps that are regional, you can sort it by state. You can sort it, again, by retail class of trade if you have people that handle independent retailers or people that handle online retailers. You can sort by job function, so you can find out what they told us their role was within their company. In free text, we also share with you what they told us their job title was. Not everybody tells us. Again, we do our best to make certain that several of the the parts of the file are edited properly. If we see that somebody has misrepresented or has gotten their retail class of trade wrong or is different among people who work for the same retailer, generally speaking, we'll consolidate that. So we've done some editing to this. We do not edit job function unless it becomes perfectly apparent that somebody said they were an owner and then they said they had a different role when they selected which job function they had. In products of interest, we'll talk a little bit more about that because that's a very broad-ranging one, but we do not edit that at all. So this is what the right-hand side of that list begins to look like. You can see the job function. You can see the business class, that is to say the retail class of trade. And then a whole bunch of Ys out there to the right, and those Ys are the yeses on the categories that they came to the show to buy. And we'll talk a little bit more about what those are and how to use those in just a second. Let's go to the retail class of trade first. And although omni-channel retailing is beginning to make determining a retail class of trade a little more difficult than it was 10 years ago, I think you can see there are some people that fall directly into certain classes of trade, and we encourage them to make sure that they have their most basic class of trade in the registration data that we share with you. One exception is retailers who have both a brick and mortar presence and an online presence, and the buyer tells us that they're responsible for the online presence. So the brick and mortar for Macy's would be a department store, but for Macy's.com, if they've told us that's their role, will be in the internet retail world. So if you're interested in, as you know, Macy's has recently combined all those roles, but there are still some people who are registered as specialists on internet, so as a consequence you may want to check in both places if you're looking for the full complement of Macy's people. Some of them are registered before those changes were made. It's a consequence. But if you look here, you'll see that if you're looking for independents, you're looking for gift stores, you're looking for museum stores, I think you'll find plenty of them to choose from. These are all the people who registered for the show. Everybody who registered for the show has given us a class of trade, or we've assigned one to them if they left it blank. Multi-store specialty would include people like Sur La Table or Williams-Sonoma. Independent stores, independent specialty would include people like the Cook's Warehouse in Atlanta or Kitchen Window in Minneapolis. There are a few non-retailers who come to the show, people generally speaking who are buying things to use in their business. You might want to take a look at that if there's any of those that are of interest to you. Drug, supermarket, and convenience. We've been told that there were many supermarket retailers. Virtually all the important ones were there. Check that if that's one of your targets. Mass merchant chain, I think, speaks for itself. You get down into some of the other ones. One price would be the dollar stores. So again, it's explore this. Spend some time with the list, looking at it, making sure that you know who all your targets might be. This would be a great opportunity to open up some new areas if you wish. Now, moving on to job function, we ask them to tell us what their most appropriate function is within their company. They're a buyer, an assistant buyer, a merchandise manager, corporate executive, an owner. And owners generally apply to independent stores, but not exclusively. Both the gift and the kitchenware stores, generally speaking, their owners are present at the show. Occasionally we'll get planners and logistics managers, and they asked us to add that a couple of years ago. Other either means that we didn't know how to classify them, or they didn't feel as though they fit in those top 6. Some of them could be advertising people, they could be product development people. I would spend some time taking a look at those people that say other. They may or may not be of interest to your business. Moving on to products of interest, this is a really long list. But as you know, we're a very broad industry, and as a consequence, we try to get as many of those categories on there as we can without making them tired of filling out the form. We hope that one of these is close to your business. So now that we've looked at all three, retail class of trade, job function, and product of interest, if you are proficient at Excel, or if someone in your organization is proficient at Excel, you can now go and sort out kitchenware stores, buyers, or owners who came to the show to buy household electrics. And you can create a custom list of each of those. You can create a list of all of the independent specialty stores, all of the gift stores that came to the show, and what they came to the show to buy. So really, you've got an awful lot of things that you can matrix here. You may have somebody on your team who's responsible for not just certain classes of trade, but certain products within your business, and this would be a great opportunity to create a custom list for that person in your organization to either follow up with people who stopped at your booth, or perhaps more importantly, to go find people that didn't make it to your booth. Average buyer tells us they go to somewhere between 250 and 500 booths at the show, but that still means that a lot of them didn't get to every booth. And so as a consequence, I think you behoove yourself to look through that list. In addition, I would encourage you to think about looking, even after you sorted your list and you've made some sense of it, I'd look through the rest of the list to make certain that there aren't people that fell through the cracks, or they identified themselves slightly differently than you would have expected them to do. And they are generally, you may find somebody who neglected, for instance, to put your category down, or has switched since they registered to your category. I would think you would want to look through that. As Nancy and I told you in the webinars before the show, we talked about using the buyer list from the previous show to reach out to people to get them to come to your booth. Well, now you have the opportunity to reach out to them if they didn't, or even if they did, and to make sure that you have told them about what it is you're looking for. We mentioned in the pre-show webinars to use the fax number. This is a great opportunity to post-sell the show. Gives you an opportunity to go find those people that you might have missed, or their bosses, and to reach out to them now and on a year-round basis. The question we get asked most often is, after people download the list, is why are there no emails on the buyer lists? We continually test. We have 3 retail advisory groups, and we do survey work, and we go visit retailers, and we continuously ask this question, and they have told us many, many times and over again that they wish that it is their wish that we not share their email. They are certain that most people will be respectful of their time and their email address, but many people will not. And as a consequence, we don't have their emails. There are 2 ways that you might have gotten their emails at the show. And they are from in-booth scanning, which we presume is a business card exchange. And as a consequence, you will have got, and this was the week after the show, you will have got a list of all of the people that you scanned in your booth. Just so you know, the buyers who were scanned also got an email reminding them of the booths that they were scanned in. Second way that you might have gotten an email address was from the new product showcase. If you had a product in the new product showcase and spent the $300 to both put a product in the showcase and to create an entry into the IHA Innovation Awards, you would have got a list the week after the show of all of the buyers who scanned your product in the new product showcase and their contact information. That is another way that you could have got their emails. I would encourage you for 2017 to consider both of these, both using the free lead retrieval devices and the new product showcase to extend your reach at the show I think that would be something that I would think could continue to help you build your contact list. Nancy, I also encourage you to keep these lists, build them year to year. We have one going back to 1999 that has about 45,000 people on it. We encourage you to do the same thing, to build a comprehensive list. We think this is the best list in the business. It is obviously the people who are most attached, if you will, to the housewares industry. A couple of notes on the media list, which is also available for download there. It may be appropriate for some of you, may not be appropriate for all of you, but the show gets between 350 and 400 million consumer impressions, and gets a lot of interest. If you've been following housewares.org, after the show you'll have seen a number of blogger posts that were done at the show. We had very active YouTube influencer community at the show. All of those people are on this media list, and it's an opportunity for you to reach out and get coverage from them. There are 4 types, if you will, of media listed on that list: trade, home or business, HFN, those kinds of folks, bloggers, internet media, and then consumer media people, trade magazines. So, and also, would like to point out that this is media from all over the world in one list, so you don't have a separate U.S. and non-U.S. media list. But if you are thinking of going into business or already in business in the UK, I would encourage you to scan this list to look for UK media people who would be able to help you get some traction with the consumer in those markets. So in this case, some do have emails, and Debbie Teschke, who runs this effort for us, does tell the media that if they give us their email, we will share it with you. And of course we will. If you have a PR person, a PR team, please make sure you share this list with them. Only you have access to this list. We can't give them access to it, but because we want to make certain that you are the one who's using it. This could be extremely valuable to them as well. One of the things that Debbie asked us to caution you on is if you find somebody on this list who asks you to pay for coverage, we'd like to make sure they come off of that list. They do not belong on the media list. They belong on the trade guest list, and we'd be happy to treat them as such. As Debbie says, the media that we get at the show should be free to you. The coverage should be free. Editorial coverage should not cost you money. As a consequence, if you find anybody on that list or have a record of anybody who came to your booth who was trying to sell you something, sell you placement, we would sell you advertising, and they had a media badge on, we would like very much to make sure that we address that with them for the 2017 show.
So we will always take an opportunity to talk about our Housewares Connect 365. If you've attended any of Perry and my email webinars, as he said earlier, we cover this in its own webinar. We always cover this when we're talking about our marketing opportunities. We know that the buyers use this tool year-round. Of course, it gears up a bit right before showtime, but we know that they're looking at this year-round. So if you're using the buyer list and you're doing, follow-up and contacting buyers, you want to make sure that your listing is up to date, because they very well likely go to Housewares Connect 365 if they need to jog their memory and look at the company and look at products.
Nancy, one thing to mention here to kind of corroborate that, we're tracking, we of course track this very closely. We have approximately 750,000 from the show window of searches on Housewares Connect 365, and we expect over 1 million for the year. So what Nancy said, this is an extremely valuable tool for you, and of course it's free.
It is free. If you see that important note at the bottom, it's basically if you're receiving any sort of solicitations for buyer lists or for housing, or in this case, for directories, none of those are coming from us. Those are all free services we offer to you in terms of getting the best rates on housing and the buyer's list. We don't sell it. If you're receiving any solicitation on that, please forward that to us. And if you read the fine print, you'll see they're not affiliated with us. So that's just something to caution you.
And I think it's really good, as Nancy has said in the past, I think it's really good to make sure that if somebody makes you sign a contract for anything, that you read it. Most of these quote-unquote directories do that. So headed for the final stretch now.
So the first item here, the 2017 space application deadline is July 1st. Space applications will be completely out of our offices by Thursday of this week. So please keep an eye out for your space application. We actually will be doing a webinar as well on the space application process in case any of you have struggled with it in the past, or you're going to be new to filling it out and submitting it. That July 1 deadline is extremely important. That is a full submission of the application as well as payment. And as we continue to, we get our applications out early, we're selling out very early. So if you're planning to return to the show, I would strongly advise that you get all of your applications in by the 1st.
Thanks, Nance. Moving on to, there are 3 other items on here that I think might be of interest to you, sort of save the date, block your calendar kinds of things. The first one is the Global Forum. If you're involved at all in international business, this will be held conveniently here in Chicago, June 8th through 10th. We've got a very exciting lineup for you. If you're in international business, we've got an expert coming to talk about how to do market entry in 5 or 6 of the European countries, how to find a distributor, how to find retailers, how to approach the market. It'll be a great tutorial session for you. We've got an expert on the Nordic countries coming to speak about entry into those markets. We've got someone coming from Honduras, someone from Indonesia. We're working on a few other surprises that we'll be able to talk about shortly. But if you're interested in doing business internationally, this would be an opportunity for you. And more than just listening to those people, because the community of international business people that is a part of this global forum are great resources in terms of your opportunity to network with people, to ask them questions. And it's remarkable to me how well and how much these veterans are willing to share with people who are trying to learn their way. So I would encourage you to think about that as part of what you are doing this international business. More specifically, we're going to take a trade mission to Mexico. This will be 10, 11, maybe 12 supplier companies. We'll be going to Mexico City and Monterrey in August. Bring your sunscreen. But what a trade mission means is that we will take these exhibitors to the market, do a full market immersion. We will do tours, physical tours of retail stores, and then we will do one-to-one buyer meetings. You will get to sit in front of buyers from retailers in both Mexico City and Monterrey, as well as some information on and meetings with distributors if you're not currently happy with your distribution process. I think this is going to be a great opportunity for people to do business south of the border of the U.S. Last item on my list is a save the date for our senior executive or executive super session. We've been doing this for many years now. It is an educational opportunity that's done by and for the industry. We've got a number of speakers coming. You may be familiar with Dana Telsey, who you will see on CNBC. She will be talking about her take on where retail is going. She spoke last year, was extremely eloquent about the impact of internet on brick and mortar, talking about who's rising and who might be flattening out just a little bit. Dana will spend some time talking about that. We will also have Charlie Cook, whom you may also have seen on MSNBC and some other places. Charlie is what I guess you would call the ultimate insider on politics. By the time we get to October, things ought to be really interesting. So Charlie will be there to sort all that out for us and really to tell us where he thinks business will go based on who he predicts will be the next president of the United States, but probably more importantly, how the local and regional races will sort out. And Charlie will be there to talk about that. And then Peter Giannetti from Home World Business will have his senior executive Housewares hot seat panel. Topics still in development, but this is always fascinating opportunity to learn from seasoned veterans in the industry. This is a two-day conference here in Chicago, very close to O'Hare. And I think well worth it. If you've got questions about any of these, I would encourage you to contact us, and I'd be happy to, as Nancy would too, be happy to field your questions about any of them. My email address is here, my phone number's here. Please let me know if we can help you in any way. Nancy?
That's it. We're always here to answer your questions. Your sales managers are great. Completely educated on all of this as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us.
We hope that we continue to provide you with the service you expect from us, and if we're not, we certainly hope you'll tell us that, because we'd love to be able to fill the gaps. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. A copy of this webinar will be recorded and put on our website so that you can share it with other people on your team if you wish. You'll get an email shortly telling you where to go find it.
Thank you.